Good evening, everybody. I'm kind of putting out a request. Every time I do a YouTube, I'm supposed to be optimizing words on my YouTube stuff. Is there anybody in here that does YouTubes and knows what the steps are to get to where you can find out what the optimized words are? All right. I know I can track it down, but it's going to take the hours to track it down. I figured if somebody knew how to do it, they could show me in 3 minutes. So, all right, we have seen, I've put the Dow out this long because you can see where the support level is right here. And you can see what type of action we were getting here. These were indecisive trading days, had a big hammer day, bullish engulfing. So today was good confirmation that the T-line was not going to act as resistance. Number one, it was confirming the bullish signal. Now the doubt that we had on Friday was that there was no signal in the NASDAQ, and we were still below the T-line. So that basically required bullish confirmation to tell us that we have gotten into a reversal. And so right now with the indexes trading up above the T-line, we have to assume that we're now in an uptrend. Now, with that analysis and seeing how the pre-market futures were going to open things positive today, that told us that if we had things that were well in the oversold area, like Lucid, and I don't know why that 200-day moving average doesn't come up through there on this chart, but it pretty much told us if we're in the oversold area and they started trading positive, not only positive, but you can see how Lucid gapped up above Friday's open. The fact that they gapped it up in the oversold area was a pretty good indication. That's when you want to start closing out or closing your short trades. You saw that in quite a few positions. Oversold and then starting to trade back up, especially through the open. That told us with the market heading up, an individual stock trading in the oversold area that far away from the T-line, the probabilities were going against you that it was time to start covering your short positions. AZEK, another example. A bullish harami in the oversold area. If they opened it lower and traded it lower, no big deal. You stayed short. The fact that they opened it positive told you right away close out that short position. So again, this is just kind of an apron. Looked like a very good short that was going to head down to the 200. But as soon as they came back up through that level, what'd that tell you? But they were probably buying this one. You wanted to cover, if you were short this trade, you covered it. So the thing that helps us the most is just kind of that simple concept that you want to make as much profit, or you want to make hay while the sun shines. So if we can see the market was turning, there were tons and tons of stocks out there that looked like this. Good positive trading, but not a reversal signal. So this is kind of a segue into what we're going to be doing this Saturday. Is we want to find the stocks that have the potential of the biggest price moves when the market's turning in the direction we expect it to. We recommended POD because of the kicker signal, that if it opened positive today with the additional confirmation that the markets were heading positive, pretty much wanted to be in those because that was giving you a very strong indication that you were heading in the right direction. Whether or not the market was up strong today or not. Another one, there's a kicker signal on PRVB. Just told you were probably heading in the right direction after that kicker signal on Friday. Any other pattern that you can recognize, like a series of dojis, that was the reason for our recommendation on IMGO today. It was not only was the market heading up, but if it opened positive, it would be confirming the series of dojis breakout, just putting you in a better probability that you were going to be in the right trade at the right time, with obviously the market helping out. So the market helped out quite a few stocks today. We just wanted to identify which ones might have the better probabilities based upon kicker signal here, J-hook type pattern on SUS. We're still long this one, because this fry pan bottom tells us if they come back up to the breakout area, you've still got about a 60% profit in that one. Let's see. So here's the type of thing, even Bob mentioned it today, that a lot of times prices go up and then they back off and then they go back up again. And this is exactly where you can increase your probabilities of being in a good trade. You can see exactly where this one reversed. A big Morningstar type signal right off the 200-day moving average. Evening star signal, but it didn't close below the T-line. Morningstar signal, J-hook pattern. What's your next likely prospect? Wave 1, wave 3 should take you back up to test these levels up here. So again, this is just identifying things that put you in the right direction at the right time. This little one, LLNW. Look at your doji sandwich, and then look at your J-hook pattern setting up. So this is the huge benefit, or at least it's been for me through the years, of identifying when the probabilities are starting to go in your direction. Now, there were tons of charts that looked like this today. This is QuantumScape. But the difference is we're looking for the strong charts, and the way you find the strong charts is there's your little hammer type signal, gap up, Morningstar signal, and a close above the T-line. That just improves the probabilities that you're in the right place or in a strong price move. And there was tons that they all looked the same. They were all bullish trades. They were coming up through the T-line, but they were just bullish reversals, we're looking for the bullish reversals that also have that added strength of the best friend signal, things like that. Ford Motor Company, you can see how it was basing right here. If you're a longer term hold, I'd get ready to buy this one, especially if it came back up through the T-line. Now DWAC, another one that was up nicely, but here's the difference. A lot of stocks were up and they came back up and kind of resisted at the T-line. You can see DWAC gapped up above the T-line and went positive. That should give you a little bit more extra inclination that that things are moving in a positive direction, because the T-line is now not acting as a resistance level because they gapped right up through it. Let's see, I'm still going down the list here. Okay, so going back to this chart. Daku, a bullish move, but not anything that you would say this is a candlestick reversal signal. What we're looking for are things like this. Netflix. Did a best friend gap up through the T-line, also an island reversal. That just dramatically improves improves the probabilities that they're going positive on this because of that little piece of information right there. NVIDIA, same scenario. This is where you use your 2+2 analysis. Bullish Harami, once again, right here on the 200-day moving average. And today they gapped it up and had no problems going through the T-line. So even if you took the T-line out of here, you still have a bullish Harami supporting right at the 200, followed by a gap up. That alone is good confirmation. You add the fact that they went through the T-line, it enhances it even more. We're getting down to Tesla here in a minute. Apple, that's your kicker type signal. What did they tell us today? The 50 was not acting as resistance. This downtrend's been broken. Make this smaller. Wave 1, wave 2, look for wave 3. At least look for a, dang, I hate that thing, move back up here to the recent highs. Rick, I'll have to send this back. Are you not, do you not go to the link where you can pull them up? Let me send this back over to Abraham. All right. Too late to buy Apple? I wouldn't think so. I might not buy it outright, meaning might do a spread on this one, which was what Roger did today. Which one was it, Roger? On Netflix? Yeah, where he bought the 430s and sold the 450s for, I got in around $5, with the idea that if it goes above the 450 level, that spread goes from $5 to $20, which would be the equivalent of buying the calls at that time, which were around 10, for that to make the same return, it would have to, I think we figured out, it had to go to like 480 to make the same return as buying the spreads. And Tesla, nice strong morning star signal, again, right off the 200-day moving average. So if you add all that together, that's a high probability place to be buying. And I'll stick Roku today in the big traders. You can see how it did a little hammer gap up through the T-line. Probabilities are that it's heading up. So anytime we can add additional probabilities, but there's a lot of stocks that we're trading positive, we want to find the ones that have the better prospects of trading positive. This is why a bobble breakout is so effective. First of all, it's a J-hook pattern. We can see how it supported the T-line. What everybody else is watching is how it resisted at the 50, and now they came back up through the 50. To them, that says, oh, they're not resisting the 50. That's when they're buying. We're buying on the basis that this is a J-hook pattern with a much more defined resistance level and breakout level. AMRN, same scenario. Again, 2 plus 2 plus 2. There's your best friend signal, morning star type signal. There's your little Harami support at the T-line, gap up through the 50, through this level. You've got a gap up, consolidation gap up. That's a pretty strong indication there's going to be more upside. And Weibo, there's your best friend signal, scoop type pattern, breaking out through the 50 after it failed there twice. That gives you a good prospect for wave 3 to be heading up. Fry pan bottom. Marshall, this is, I think, one you picked out or identified. If they open this positive, what's it telling you? Your fry pan bottom's still working and they're not resisting at the 50 anymore. Same scenario here on blind. A fry pan bottom, it gets up through the 50, a lot of running room. There's a gap way up here. So when we see a pattern like this, what's our additional benefits? One, we know that it could be breaking out heading positive. And two, we can see what the magnitude of the move might be on a fry pan bottom breakout. If that's your target, that means you've got about a 75% upside return if this does exactly what we think it does, or it should do. And the sectors that were acting strong, the electric vehicle sector, starting back up. Bullish Harami on charge point. Confirmed. Blink. Morning star signal. Lack. Uh-oh. Morning star signal. Lithium. Big morning star signal. QuantumScape, morning star signal. So when, what was the fry pan? That was Weibo, I think. No. After. Well, that was before. SDC. Yep. And Nikola, Lie, all have now upside potential. And Ford, but in that same category. Chewy, big bullish engulfing signal. Doji, 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 doji. Telling you they're still continuing in this direction. I would suspect market stays good. You're still heading for the 50-day moving average. And VET, or VNet. Kind of your best friend signal up through the 50. Again, everybody's watching to see what it's going to do at the 50, whether it failed or going through. Now you've got a good breakout. Yeah, Chewy was just more that they were consolidating here, but you still were coming off a buy signal. So that was just telling you after the consolidation, they've told you which way they're going to take it. I don't know what that is. No. Vips, maybe. There's your best friend bubble breakout on Vips. That would imply a lot more upside. I didn't even spell that one right. Oh. So this is your typical chart today. It's a good chart, but there was tons of them like this today. What you want to do is find the ones that have a little bit more oomph to them. Beam has a morning star signal. Did I just? No, that's not what I did. What I do? Dada, morning star signal, scoop type pattern. So here's a 2+2. Nice hammer, gap up through the T line, strong reversal, and what's your added 2+2? They did it right smack dab off the 200. Where's your next likely target? At least probably back up to the 50, putting you with a high probability you're in the right direction. What was that? PPSI. Beyond Meat was also a best friend signal. So what do you want to do here? If you're buying, you watch to see what happens at the 50. If it breaks through the 50, probably a lot of good upside potential. Net, again, the reason these look better than just uptrending reversals is the fact that they've gapped these up. Anytime you see that gap up after a candlestick signal, it illustrates there's a lot more force. There's your morning star best friend set up on Spotify. That one I would suspect has good prospects of going right to the 50. And AEHR, nice pattern set up with the added analysis. They're doing it right off the 200. Now when they're doing it right off the 200, look at your left-right combo. Look at your bullish harami gap up. And the obvious is they're not selling it back down through the 200. They're using the T-line as support. Where's your next likely target? The 50, which would also correspond with filling that gap. So there's a good 30% upside with a high probability trade setup. So this is your typical chart. A good chart and a little gap up. Sally is probably me hemming and hawing. Or you might want to log off by hitting the red X up in the top right and come right back in and see if you don't get a better connection. All right. So this is what we're kind of going to be leading into as far as this weekend's training, is which ones have the much stronger prospects of heading higher, with two elements to it. A higher probability they're heading higher, number one, and the magnitude of the move is probably going to be much greater. And so if you've been waiting to buy things on a long-term basis, things like QuantumScape now is viable. Seeing the only time it came up above the T-line was right here, but it didn't confirm the next day. This is your confirmation that they've turned it around. So all we're doing is visually recognizing when investor sentiment is changing, and if we can find out it's changing with great exuberance and at levels that everybody else is watching that aren't using candlestick analysis, it just improves your probabilities of being in the right trade at the right time. That's about all I've got for tonight. But the important factor is that we could start seeing, see if I can do this, seeing that there might be a support going on. And then all we needed was confirmation. So on Friday, even though the Dow closed up here, I kept saying we need to see more confirmation because we didn't have anything great in the NASDAQ. We needed to see bullish confirmation, which was definitely what happened today. When holding a bull call such as Netflix, how do you handle two sequential downgrades? When holding a bull call such as Netflix, how do you handle two sequential down days? Oh, I have to see whether which two are you referring to? These two? Tomorrow and Wednesday. Oh. As long as it stays above the T-line, you just stay with it. This is a strong buy signal. Will you see some consolidation? Yes. Where would you not want to see a down day? Probably wouldn't want to see a down day that closed back below the T-line. That tells you that that's not a good, strong chart. Okay, again, Tesla had $5 to $9 changes. Tesla had $5 to $9 changes. How do you know when not to panic and sell? Meaning after it opened today, oops. Oh. Well, there's your answer right here. You go to your 10-minute chart. I don't see a $5 to $9. Yeah, I guess it did. This is what tells you not to panic. Then dropped right here. When you're that late in the day, what is that drop right there due to your daily chart? It brings it back a little bit, but it's not changing the overall daily chart or the daily candle. Chris, hang on to your individual ones until I tell Jim to do the double line. I am a swing trader. I was somewhat concerned about going long today. Thoughts for tomorrow? Yes, I held off going long until late in the day when it didn't look like the markets were going to sell off. When it sold off right here, kind of the same scenario I was just telling Cheryl or Cindy. No, Cheryl. At the end of that day, or at the end of that, if they started selling off with just 30 minutes left to go, what was that doing to your overall daily chart? It was bringing it back down a little bit, but not showing anything that's telling you there was a change of investor sentiment. What was the big boost today? Paul, have no idea. And that's why I try not to even speculate or prognosticate why they were buying or selling on any given day. I'm not that smart. All I do is look to see what everybody is doing. So if I was sitting here thinking, well, we've got flare up in Ukraine, potentially China going after Taiwan, Iran boosting up their nuclear, North Korea sending missiles out again. It doesn't look like a very good economic environment to me. But for some reason, somebody that has a lot more in-depth analysis of what's going on is out there buying the markets. So what's the other side of the coin? Maybe if there's all that world trouble, then maybe the safe haven is the U.S. stock market. Who knows? I heard there is rebalancing. Oh, that could have been a little bit. Today's just the end of the first quarter. Not the first quarter, first month. So I wouldn't imagine there's any great rebalancing going on. Oh, the dollar. No, the dollar was down a bit today. I've got the right chart. That's the dollar index. Let's see what crude oil was doing. Crude oil is still in this steady uptrend. The oils were holding up. They weren't very strong today. Apache, ExxonMobil was holding up well. So I don't know whether crude oil was holding up because the dollar was down. Yeah, Nicholas, that's I guess that goes with my theory that to want to be a U.S. government official or try to run for a political office, you've got to be awfully stupid to want to put your family through that, which means if you win, you've got stupid people running the government. So I don't know of any Federal Reserve chairmen that really had a whole lot of respect from the general public and politicians, but they keep going on. All right. Yeah, Volcker was all right. Okay. Any general questions on candlestick analysis? Oh, somebody was private messaging about this weekend. Let's see, it's scheduled to go from 10 a.m. to 2, but figure on somewhere around 4 to 4:30. And essentially what we will be doing is refining your visual analysis and understanding of which patterns produce the strongest strongest price move. That's right. So another good day to have hot chocolate and listen to me drone on. Oh, what do we call it? The candlestick power patterns, which is a combination. We did the mini training a couple weeks ago about the power signals. Now, if you combine the power signals with the power patterns, that's what, again, takes you another step up in being able to analyze the probabilities of prices going higher. Not only higher, but much higher. In your lucid example, you only recommended closing shorts. Why not go long because of best friend signal? I don't think it was a best friend signal. It was just a gap up above the previous day's open. It still would not be my first choice because it still has to get up through the T-line. Now, if you want to buy this on positive trading, it's with the idea that if it comes up and tests the T-line, then you have to see what it does at that level. But I would rather go after something that went through the T-line and did a much stronger signal, like a best friend signal, which there's plenty of out there right now. And one of them being Netflix. As you can see, it was a good short ever since kind of our dumpling top, and then they slammed it down. So where's the next target? Well, the gap area is probably your next likely target. I am following a stock on a weekly chart, and the price moves away from the T-line. Which shorter time frame should I move to? If you're following on a weekly, you go back to your daily chart. Is it a great signal to have the whole market doing a similar type action? Obviously, yes. Bills fan. Oh, that was an excruciating game. Yes. So logic says if you've got all the indexes trading in the same direction, that means there's a general change of investor sentiment. On the other hand, if the Dow had been up big today and the NASDAQ was down, what would that tell you about your investor sentiment? it was still relatively indecisive. So this is why you want to take a look at what all the stocks are doing in a sector. The airlines were pretty weak, but today all the airlines traded higher, which kind of gives you the impression, not the impression, but the acknowledgement that they're buying all the airlines across the board. That's probably a sector you want to be getting into if you like those signals. Jim, that's probably a question to ask in here. Can anybody answer Jim's question about what he could use on his iPhone? Krish, here's the numbers on Netflix. Today, it actually closed up 42. When it was trading up around $30 or so, we were buying the, I think it was about 2 weeks out, buying the 430s and selling the 450s against it. The net of that trade was $5.50. The upside potential is that if it goes above 450 by expiration date, that $20 spread that you just paid $5.50 for is now worth $20. And why is that? Let's say it closed right at 450. You bought the 430s and you sold the 450s. Well, on that day, what's the value of the 450s? Zero, because nobody's going to pay you any money for a call to buy the stock at 450 when it's trading at 450. Your 430s are going to be worth $20 above the 430. So your net of that trade is $20. Now, if it closed at 460, you're still going to net $20 because your 430s are going to be worth 30, and you're going to have to buy back your 450s for 10, so you're going to net $20. So anything above the 450 level is going to net you $20. All right, so that meant for every dollar that you put in, you were making $3 on that trade. Well, if you bought the calls, and I can't remember, I think the calls at that time were like $10 or $11 on the 430s. Well, to make that same percent return, which would be that for the $10 you put in, you needed to make $30 on top of that, so that's $40 above the 430. It would have to go, instead of 450, it would have to go to 470 to make that same return. So there's an advantage to a spread. One, you've got less money exposed. Two, you don't have to move nearly in as big a magnitude of move to make a very high percentage return. And three, darn, I forget what the third is. That if the trade goes against you, the spread usually doesn't lose a whole percentage because it's still the difference between the two prices. No, just the dollar. Again, the number one criteria for a option trade, number one, is analyzing that you've got a good trade. Number two is, does the math make sense? So now you can go through and say, all right, what's the math on this one? If I'm paying $5.50 for it to go above $5.50 per contract to have it go above 450. Maybe I can make it a little bit less. Maybe I can buy a 435 and a 455. And when you look at that, maybe they were $4. So now the question is, all right, is it worth saving a little bit of money? But that means instead of now having to go 450, it has to go to 455. So you just want to look at it and see which evaluation of the math makes the most sense. Futures are a little bit weak. Now, Joe, the futures right now doesn't mean a hill of beans. They're down 138. When we wake up tomorrow, they might be up 400. So you pay very little attention to what the futures are doing at this time of night, because it has absolutely nothing to do with how the market is going to open tomorrow, what investor sentiment is tomorrow. Oh, no. Option expirations are usually on a Friday, and the monthly options expire on the third Friday of the month. And then you've got your weekly options, which all expire on Fridays. Okay. If that's it, Jim, go ahead and do the double line. And in 3.2 seconds, do the next double line. Like we did Shopify. Were you not sitting here? Shopify you can be buying on positive trading. Teradyne. That's a toughie. That one would be you were expecting a bounce back up to the T-line, which over the next couple of days, the T-line might be down here, so that wouldn't be on my list of going after. There's better upside potentials. Nokia, that one you can get ready to buy, provided they can get through the 200. Natural gas, stay long. Right now, if I was long, I'd have a safety stop just below today's low. Definitely want to see it open positive and continue its uptrend to stay long. You've got a hammer type signal on Caterpillar right at that possible support level. Stochastic's not quite in the oversold area. If I was short, I'd probably close it if they opened up positive tomorrow. Wouldn't be going long, just wouldn't want to be short. That's not the right direction. DQ, there's your Morningstar signal. That can be bought with the anticipation at least heading for the 50. And NIO, you could buy this one on positive trading after today's Morningstar signal. OK chart on ZTS, because that's not, it's a Morningstar type signal. You could be buying it, just make sure it gets through the 200. And Fastenal, that one you could be buying also. But again, you're fighting the downtrend, so you want to make sure you're getting confirmed bullish strength. Ultra, J-hook pattern, you could buy this one. I'd be more apt to buy it if it breaks out through that level. Las Vegas Sands, nothing there yet. If I was going to buy this one, I'd probably wait for the better probability of a bobble breakout going up through the 200-day moving average. This one has stretched right to the obvious resistance level. So if you're long, oh, I would put a safety stop probably at the halfway point of this candle, which would bring you back into this range and telling you they didn't get through the 200. An AMRN, that one I wouldn't be afraid to be buying, and then right now just have a safety stop at today's open. Big morning star signal. Remember, the bigger the signal, the more compelling there's been a change of investor sentiment. EQH, another big morning star signal. You could be buying this one, just don't let it close back below the T line. Skills, you could buy this one if you like it above the T line. Ride, morning star type signal, you can be buying this one also. This one, nothing yet. You still need to get through the T line. You're still on a downtrend. I'd be someplace else. That one just doesn't show a lot of strength yet. Home Depot, you want to make sure this one gets through the 50. Otherwise, you're still kind of stuck sideways. Oh. Adobe, you could buy this one also. D-Dog had a good chart today. That one I would suspect is now heading for the 50. Bed Bath & Beyond. Nothing wildly exciting. You're right here at the 50, fry pan bottom. If you're long, stay long, but it definitely needs to get through the that resistance level. Williams-Sonoma, nice J-hook pattern. Not wildly exciting, but more than likely coming back up to the moving averages. Costco, nice action there. Another one that was likely coming back up to fill the gap at the 50. Plug was another good chart today. Wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one using the T-line as your stop. Blackstone went through the 200. Now this is where you have to start watching. Once they go through a resistance level, sometimes they come back to test to see if that resistance level is now going to act as a support level. LDQA. No, that's not working. QCOM. You can be buying this one. Wouldn't be first on my list. You still have to obviously get through the 50-day moving average. And team, stay long, same scenario. Need to get through the level everybody else is watching. BABA, that one you can buy in positive trading after the gap up today. ASAN, it's good, just not anything wildly, it's not one of your best charts. I mean, it's a good chart, it's just not one of the best charts out there. Still need to break this downtrend. Walgreens, nothing here yet. If I was short, I'd stay short. Trade Desk. That one you can start buying again on positive trading. The Sox. Morningstar type signal. As an index, it's telling you that those stocks are starting to pick up steam again. Microsoft, still not anything great. It's probably heading back up in an upward direction. Just have to be aware that the magnitude of your return isn't going to be all that spectacular. If you like it long term, you can be buying it long term. Just need to watch to see what happens once it gets to the 50. Target, you could be buying this one. Still not. There's better charts out there. It's probably going to go positive, but again, you don't have anything that's showing you a strong reversal. Amazon was a good chart today. Did I skip Amazon? No. So you could be buying this one. GPPG, John. Google, you can still be buying this one. We did NIO. NIO you could buy on positive trading tomorrow. We did AMRN. You could buy this one on positive trading tomorrow. Disney, well, I'm typing in the darn J. Disney definitely would not be short. If you're going long, it's with the anticipation that all you're going to do is go back up and test the 50, and you got to decide whether that's worth having your money in that one. I don't know how I do that. Jeez. D-Dog, stay long. NVAX would have been one that you would be out of the short position, obviously. Now you can consider going long. Even though you don't have a signal here, you did have a hammer doji, now a gap up, breaking this downtrend. So you stay long on this until you see a sell signal. CrowdStrike, another one you could be buying. Not your strongest reversals. I mean, it's a good reversal, just not one of the strongest reversals. And we did Microsoft. Labu, again, you could be buying this one. Nothing wrong with it. And Hood, after the belt hold signal, after going from 38 down to 10, at least you can figure there's probably some short covering going on at this point. We did Tesla. Tesla's got a nice strong Morningstar signal with a gap up. You could buy this one on positive trading, but then don't let it close back below the T-line. Ship, just stay long. Suspect going to the 200. Bros, we did. That's a bobble breakout. And Solo, again, a bullish reversal, but not a strong signal. Probably wouldn't be playing with this one. INNV looks like a fry pan bottom. You could be buying this one. Make sure your volume is good. Zoo. Yeah, that one's not coming up. Will. Nothing great here yet. Now, if they do open this positive, you could be buying it based upon your bullish engulfing and then a doji sandwich type setup up through the T line. Did we do Solo? Am I going backwards? I am. Sorry about that. Another Morningstar signal after they bounced off the 200. That I'd have a little bit more confidence in buying, watching to see what happens once it gets to the 50. And DXCM, again, not a reversal signal, so it's just an up day. It's going to probably trade higher, but I'd be finding something with much better prospects. So again, this is the typical chart today. Not reversal signals, just moving up. So if you're looking at something like this or something that has a strong candlestick signal and pattern, go with the one with a strong candlestick signal or pattern, because that's going to give you better probabilities that the bulls have stepped in. Now I don't know what I've typed here. MDB. Kind of the same scenario, but in this case, the fact that they gapped it up through the T line makes it that much more intriguing. And QDEL, nothing yet, except you've got a doji sandwich setup, which tells me that if this opens positive tomorrow, you could be buying immediately because you've got a low risk trade. One, the expectation would be this type of move, and two, if it opened positive and came back down through the T line, you close it right back out. Myra, I wouldn't be short. There's probably better longs at this point. Daydreaming here. Please, many times on spread, time value limits potential gain even when underlying is well above upper strike price close to expiration. Many times on spreads, time value limits potential gain even when underlying is well above upper strike price close to expiration. We ought to understand that rationale. Time value is why you want to keep your expiration reasonably close, because there won't be any time value on either side of those options at expiration. And so if it's a $5 spread without any time premium left on either side of the spread, that means you're right at $5, your maximum that you can get off of that trade. Net, you could buy this one. Romeo, you can buy this one. Spotify, we did with that gap up, you could buy that one on positive trading. SC, we can do option an option session here pretty soon now that the weather is cold and crappy. If we want to do that on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, we can do that. Five wide spread has maximum gain of $5, yes. But mid price could be 3 when underlying is 8 above. Five wide spread has maximum gain of $5. Yes. No, your mid price would not be, if you've got a $50 option that you bought, or and then you sold a 55, and your net on that trade was $2. If it's at $60 on expiration, there's no time premium left in either one of those options. So your $50 one is going to be worth $10. Your 55 is going to be worth $5. So when you sell the 50 for $10, you have to buy back the 55 for $5. You've still netted the $5 on that trade. There's no $3 mid-range. Raymond, we didn't get any snow this weekend, but I know people out in Long Island got 22 inches. Bill, but how much time was there left to expiration? One day? In that case, if they're only going to give you $3.50 for what should be, and I would find that pretty unusual because those options trade right near the money all the time. But even if they were only $3.50 for that trade, then you just call and say, let this go to expiration and exercise. Somebody's going to exercise the one that you've sold, and you're going to exercise the one that you bought, and it's going to net out at $5. Oh, nah. I'd still be a buyer of this one on positive trading. That's a good reversal. Up to 20 or 50 day. Oh, Mavis was up. However, the stock has been in a long downtrend. Would you wait for a bigger move up? Bigger move, yep. Up to 20 day or 50 day? No. I'd be buyer on positive trading if you like this one, because it looks like there's a gap right here. So you just watch to see what they do at those levels. I was just making fun of you, Kat. I'm a strong advocate of making fun of other people's mistakes, just to kind of hide my own. SPI Energy, another one you could buy on positive trading tomorrow. Okay, so what we really want to see is, obviously we've now changed investor sentiment, breaking out through this range. Doesn't mean you won't see some waffling, it won't go straight up, but you have to assume that the uptrend now is in progress. Nicholas, that's a good trading strategy because there's still people hopeful that things are going to go down. So the premium for puts are going to be a little bit excessive, which means if you're selling the puts, you're putting that money in your pocket, and if it stays moving or even stays flat, those time premiums disappear pretty quick. We will do a session also on credit spreads, where you're putting the money in your pocket and then hoping that it expires worthless, so you keep that money in your pocket. Okay, watch to see how they open this market tomorrow. We'll see everybody bright and early tomorrow morning. We'll see you then.